they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle. And we are 10 days away from All In Wembley. Can't wait, so excited. Can't believe how fast it's come round. But I mean, this episode of Dynamite was building up to that, so we're here with a review and a couple of pieces of news, but we'll get to all that. So yeah, Dynamite this week. What did you think, Estelle?
Definitely an improvement on last week for sure.
Mm.
I enjoyed this one a lot more. I did watch it in two halves though. I watched some this morning and then some just now. So if I don't know, like I feel like I'll have to like talk through it and then I'll know how I feel because I feel like a bit disjointed right now, like a bit scattered. Like I can't remember the first half of the show fully, but I'm sure I will. What about you? Did you find it a bit better?
Yeah, I found it better than last week. Last week was pretty lackluster, wasn't it? It's definitely an improvement on that. More exciting. Some really good matches, to be fair. And yeah, it does it building up for All In and definitely all guns blazing for that. I've just remembered as well. We watched Collision at the weekend, and that's
Oh
like
yes, we did. I watched it live as well, which made
yeah,
we
that
stayed
was
up till like 3 a.m. watching Collision. The dedication.
that was a life choice, certainly. Yeah, that's the first time I think. I mean, not the first time I've watched a whole episode of Collision, but the first time in a while, and the first time I've watched it live, I think. So, yeah, we weren't all that impressed, were we? I think that was the, the consensus.
I think our big gripe was the production value and how much it's fallen since like its early days. Obviously, when Collision first started, I did not miss an episode. Like I loved it. I loved the alternative flavor that it had. Especially while it was being like CM Punk around and you had guys that weren't really being showcased on Dynamite and it kind of felt like that. Well, it was a soft brand split, you know, being able to see, Jay White and his crew. And I'm trying to remember who else was kind of like a mainstay at that time.
Yeah, I know. Me neither, to be honest. I can't really remember. Feels like a lifetime ago.
It does feel like a lifetime ago, but that kind of showcasing of different House of Black. But yeah, like it was great. And then as you have as well, on the occasion I'd watch like the odd episode, but then I'd mainly just go to um the highlights because it just became a lot of filler and I am a busy lady, so
Mhm.
I don't have time for that. But yeah, my God, you made a great comment about it being like 2000s TNA. Like we've gone from early WCW to TNA 2000s, like, and I think that was the perfect analogy.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we're not dunking on the wrestlers, or anything like that, but it was like the production felt really weird, and I know
Camera
that.
shots.
Yeah, the wide angle, the big swooping camera shots. I didn't understand why. I mean, if someone watching this watches Collision all the time, please tell us if that was maybe something different that they've done. Like the hard cam we found really weird. Is it like that every week, or is it because of the maybe a different arena or something? Please let us know. Because yeah, there was just something really off about it.
Yeah, and obviously like, we stayed up to watch like the main event. And we were worked, brother. We were worked when Christian Cage intercepted, and then obviously now it's going to be a three-way trios match at All In. But yeah, I mean, we also found that like having I'm trying to remember what it was called, the Texas
Yeah, the bull rope.
the bull rope match. Yeah, like that just like being a throwaway was a bit of a choice as well. Again, we're not trying to I often like enjoy elements of Collision every week, and I think that's just because like I watch the highlights, and so then I'm just seeing like the best of it, and then
Yeah.
to watch it in full, like that camera angle that they do when they're panning up the entrance, it just felt like they spent so much money to make it look cheap, to make it look gritty, to make it look like an indie show. But it
Yes.
was trying to give like early NXT at Full Sail. But like we say, it was giving like TNA, like it's 1 a.m. You like turn the TV on for something to fall asleep to. Oh, there's Family Guy. Oh, there's, I don't know, Sex and Suspicious Parents. Oh, there's
Yeah.
bloody TNA. And then like you watch that and you're like, what the hell's going on? Like that era of TNA when it was utter shite. That was what it felt like. And it was like, if I hated AEW and I turned on Collision. Do you know what? Fair enough. Fair fucking enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It was giving like late night TV, like it's not mainstream, it's not trying to pull in viewers, it's just there. But the thing, me comparing it to TNA, it it felt like they were doing that on purpose. I didn't feel like this was by accident, it's just turned out shit. Like it felt like that was the intention. Um, so very, very strange to me. I mean, the matches were
yeah,
fine. The matches were fine. Nothing really stuck out. I mean, the bull rope match was pretty brutal. There was a lot of blood in that. But then that was just second match on the card. Just this really big
yeah.
stipulation, and man,
You can just tell it's just such an afterthought, and it's like, oh, this person isn't doing anything this week, but they're on the payroll. Let's shove them on Collision.
mm,
And I mean, like, even the match that where there's supposed to be stakes, like the trios, and obviously like, we got worked, and I'm fine. Like, obviously, I'd like them all. I mean, I wouldn't, but I'd like them all to like get their paycheck at All In. Um, so I understand, but it's like if nothing really has consequence. I mean, I don't know, because this weekend they're doing the Acclaim versus FTR for the who's going to face the Bucks at
yeah.
Wembley. But I wouldn't be surprised if that too ends with foul play and then they're all in it together. And if that
Mm,
does happen, then I'm like, fuck me. Like, oh my God, what is the point? Like, what is the stakes? Like, I feel like it'll redeem it a bit if, like, he actually puts his foot down and one of them wins. And like you said, they can always rotate the other team round to all out the week after. But yeah, it was just weird. And like I said, we watched it live, so we got like the most authentic
mhm.
um collision experience. But we'd love to hear like other people's opinions and things and like how they find it watching it weekly, whether we just picked like a bad week to just watch
Yeah.
the show in full.
Yeah, or was that like top end, the best collision ever? I'd be interested to know, like, for comparison purposes. But yeah, you compare it to Dynamite, and it does just feel like an afterthought.
Yeah, which is a real shame, but I'm glad at least that Collision is no longer impacting Dynamite because there was a moment where they kind of diluted Dynamite down to kind of bring Collision up,
Mm.
which I think would have only worked with like the soft black brand split or like even a hard brand split. Um, but at least now, like I don't feel like Collision impacts Dynamite so much. One thing I would say is like especially this episode of Dynamite, it's a bit irritating that like the patriarchy are constantly like doing like the video like packet promo and like they're always like doing like they're in an interview and then that sets up a match on Collision. That's like a bit formulaic and it's a bit irritating that like they're always there and like we don't get to see him as often on Dynamite anymore. But as a whole, like if it's just gonna like sit there in its entity and I can watch like a few good matches or a few good decent promos or whatever every so often, then fair play, but God, it's just not the best use of money, resources, and wrestlers, is it?
Time and effort, energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll just dive into the Dynamite review now. Like Lucy said, there was tons of great wrestling on this show, and we started off with an absolute amazing match. Honestly, loved it so much.
Yeah.
With Shida versus Monet. This was for the TBS title. And it felt earned as well, which sometimes like, in these types of matches, especially when the whole build up is for Monet to go on to face Britt, you get like these throwaway
Mm.
matches just to sort of buff them up. But this was earned. Like Shida's been kind of burning away in the background for a while. Um, and she's had a few matches since she's sort of semi come back from her hiatus, and she's been come back with an even more aggressive style. I don't know whether she's going to turn heel. That's kind of the vibe I've been getting recently, that might be something they do to like keep her character fresh. But yeah, this was aggressive as hell, and it was really cool because obviously Shida was the face, but my God, was she like I say, um, full force offense, and that meant that the two of them matched each other like they paired so well together. I thought, and they brought the best out of each other, and you could just tell like Monet had little moments where she was like smiling to herself, and like she's like, yeah, this is why I'm here. This is why I signed the contract, and I think it's always so contagious when you can see that like a wrestler's genuinely excited and happy to be in a match.
Yeah, you're right. You can. It comes across so much, especially with someone like Mercedes who's so passionate about it as well. And
Yeah.
Sheeta as well. Like you could tell they were having fun. Yeah, it was a really good match. It was a great way to kick off Dynamite as well. I loved how we started off with Justin Roberts in the ring, and he announced that the next match was going to be for the TBS Championship, and everyone was like sort of shocked in the crowd. Like it got quite a big pop, so that was nice. Yeah, it was a really good match. I agree with everything that you said about it. It was aggressive. It was pretty fast paced. You had Camille getting involved, but not to the extent where it was annoying. I didn't find her very annoying. She's helped once, sort of on the cut off to help Monet get the upper hand, and then
Yeah.
she helped with the finish as well. But you kind of expected it, and to me, it worked fine. It wasn't like, oh, like she's taken away from the match or anything like that.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that like kind of towards the finish when uh Sheeta hits Camille with the Kendall stick. The
The
kendo stick.
Kendall mint
Kendo
cake stick.
Yeah. And then when it kind of takes it off her and then she goes to face Camille and then that big boot, I thought that was great and I was really into that. Um for sure. Like if she can just keep like if that's how she's going to be presented as doing like big, powerful moves and like taking serious like then yeah, like I can get into that. And like I say, it was never to the point where it was irritating or annoying. Like they let the interferences weren't obnoxious and it let the match breathe, which is what you wanted because you wanted to see Shida versus uh Monet. I mean, for many people that would be like a dream match before like Monet signed. So
Yeah.
it's great that we got to see that and it definitely lived up to expectations and I think it definitely showed yet again that Sheeda does belong like at the top of the card and she should be like within talks to after come what may at All In with the TBS title she should definitely be in the talks after and she's just one of those people that I think you just forget how good she is, but above all else, reliable. She's such a reliable
Yeah.
person, and for how long she's been on the roster as well. Like S tier for sure. She's just proper class. Um, and yeah, as I say, it was a big boot to Shida, and then it was the moneymaker for the win, and that sort of wrapped it up. But it never it was really well done because it wasn't like as the champion approaches the big pay-per-view, oftentimes we get like a squash match or like they kind of run circles around their opponent to prove how strong they were. But they didn't do that. It was a pretty like close fight and it was just by like Camille's interference that they managed to win. Um so yeah, I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it wasn't like your typical sort of she is clearly going to win the whole time. She's way stronger. Um, yeah, it felt really even. Like Shida was a valid contender. So yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, and then afterwards there was a bit of fallout. So Britt Baker's music plays and she doesn't come down the ramp. There's then a decoy of sorts, like dressed up as Britt Baker, although it was never revealed who that was. I thought maybe it was going to
Yeah,
be Jamie Hayter. Like, I don't know whether they were going to like do the reveal there, but that it was never explained, and I don't like when things are. I'm like, who is that? What if they were
Yes.
just like a genuine fan? Like, what's the kayfabe law behind this?
Yes.
Like,
Same. I completely
I need to
agree.
know.
Yeah. I was like, why? This is a missed opportunity to bring someone like Jamie in, even if it's not her, just anyone to like be like, oh look now the odds are even, and run that sort of storyline, and then all in it can be like, oh Camille tries to get involved and she gets thwarted by this person, but no, it was just a random person in a mask who got beat up, and it was never even interrogated who that person is. Like commentary didn't even touch on it afterwards. She's like, oh yeah, that's the thing that happened. Just a random person got beat up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, and then she came down the stands, Britt Baker that is, and she attacked Monet, because Monet's in the ring. Camille's like busy with like the decoy, and she tries to put the lockjaw in, but Camille sort of pulls her away at the last minute, so she doesn't get to do that, and then it sort of ends there. Um, and I believe like didn't Britt have like the kendo stick at the end or something? She picked that up, and then that's why like Camille couldn't. She fought twice about interfering.
Mm.
So it was just nice because like it was a nice little escalation. I mean, when they've already like brawled and stuff, it's like how do you keep like one up in it? But I was pretty happy with it, to be fair.
Yeah, I
It
thought
was
it
better
was.
than like Rick just getting beat down by the two of them, like something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It was a nice segment, like the all in all, the match with paired with the continuing their story on afterwards, getting you hyped for next week. Yeah, it all worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yeah. Next up we got um a hangman flashback to him beating up Jeff Jarrett. And then we had like a Team TNA interview, and they were sort of discussing Jay Lethal's upcoming match. And then Hangman just sort of comes in and starts attacking him, mainly Jeff Jarrett. And he sort of brought Jay Lethal out, and they kind of brawled down the ramp. So that was pretty nice, pretty action-packed, like way to start the match for sure. Because obviously, like Jay Lethal versus Hangman Adam Page, like it's not the most exciting thing, is it,
Mhm.
on paper? But that sort of brought it to life. Um, and yeah, it was pretty good. It was to be expected. Hangman just aggressive, lost his mind, laser focused, just taking out Jay Lethal. Um, it wasn't like a squash match, but like he it was pretty one-sided. And I liked how he kept looking towards the all-in photos as well.
Yeah,
The all-in photo, like billboard up there, and like that's like his main focus. Obviously, as we have conspired together that it would be the Casino Gauntlet match, and that he's going to then go on to win that. There was spoiler. Everyone, click off if you don't want spoilers. But it was leaked that he is going to be Swerve's all-out partner. So there is high belief now that Swerve is going to win at Wembley, and that Hangman is going to win so that they can face it all out. But again, take that shit with a pinch of salt. Like, no
yeah,
one really knows, and plans can change.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, no one really knows, but that is interesting. Yeah, we kind of thought this, didn't we? So for sure,
I've
be
just
gone.
sorry, I've just realised as well. I was trying to think of who I was trying to think of, but missed opportunity. They could have done Rebel, couldn't they, as the mass decoy person?
Yeah, I
Because we
mean,
haven't seen
yeah.
her in like ages. And obviously, I think like Jamie Hayter, that would have been a bit of shit, like to make her come back and be then. Obviously, you want that big pop at Wembley, but yeah, sorry, my brain just got
That's okay. I mean,
totally
yeah,
sidetracked then.
just goes to
Uh,
show how intriguing and thought-provoking that segment was.
it'll be my Roman Empire. Like it'll be like 10 years later, and I'll be like, who helped her? I need to know.
Yeah. Long-term storytelling, like 5 years down the line, they'll be like, "It was me. You beat me up. I got revenge."
Um, Yeah, it's pretty nice. Jay Lethal kind of trying to counter Hangman with roll-ups. Like he couldn't get like an inch. Like the only inch he could get was like roll-ups and reversals, which I thought was very nice and just yeah, just great presentation of the dynamic between the two. And it finished with a discus lariat, which was brutal looking. Jay Lethal is out on the floor, and commentary made note that he could have pinned him then, but he didn't. He went for the buckshot and um won with yeah, very little dispute. So yeah, definitely sent a message.
Definitely. But I liked how, like you said before, it wasn't just a squash. It had like a fair amount of time, to actually get into it a bit. And it, had that room to do more than simply having Hangman win. I was really worried, like when it was like that jump start that you mentioned, like backstage, that they would like call the match off or something, like, oh, Hangman's injured him, he can't compete. So I'm glad they didn't take that angle. Um, yeah, and I love this side of Hangman. I mean, I hate it because he's being a brutal asshole, but I love it.
Yeah, anyone that's collateral damage, that's pretty much what's going to happen to a man.
Yeah.
It's a telltale sign, I think, of what's to come in the casino gauntlet for sure. But yeah, like you can't book it like head like the Shida thing, like the head to head, and Hangman just gets it by an inch because you don't want to book Jay Lethal that strongly. But for sure, it was at least interesting to watch the way they went about it because on paper it's not
Not
the
that
most,
interesting.
it's not setting my world on fire, but I was pleasantly surprised with the presentation and the direction that they chose to go in.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, so then they shared the Rev Pro match. Yeah, and there's been talks of Michael Oku coming in and maybe doing something at the Casino Gauntlet, or maybe like kind of similar to what they did last year when they brought in Grado, didn't they?
hmm Jeff
Um,
Jarrett, what a match.
but bringing in that the big name indie talent, so that's great. And honestly, I'm so jealous of all of you guys that got to see the American Hero in London a few days ago.
It looked absolutely packed
Just
as well.
mad.
Yeah.
Just mad that like yeah that he's doing stuff like that, but awesome, awesome nonetheless. And then we kind of got an MJF Osprey video package, and that just was kind of similar to sort of things that we've sort of seen before. Just recapped the whole thing, which yeah. And then it was announced that we're going to get a face to face next week, which I think is great, and I think that's perfect. Perfect what you want to see for the go home show. You know that's going to be heated. You know Max is a great promo. Osprey's a pretty good promo too, and
Yeah,
it,
under the right circumstances.
it'll definitely
It'll amp it up.
cultivate the hype. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
That it didn't piss me off too much that like they weren't on the show this week.
Yeah, me neither. I think the video package was enough to continue it. It's not as if it's a, lukewarm story. We've got everything. I mean, there's not much more they can do to build that hype for that match. And obviously
Yeah.
they've been traveling to the UK just this weekend, so, they it makes complete sense that they have a rest before that. And I do wonder if they've stayed in the UK because obviously Dynamite will be in Cardiff next week.
That makes perfect sense. 1,000% that'll be what'll have happened. You're definitely right there.
I think
Um,
Osprey definitely would, wouldn't he? Because he's got family, obviously, and stuff.
yeah, and you don't want that like repetition, I don't think, of like the same angles going around again and again and again. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for that.
hmm
Next up, we got Pac, who is also relevant to the story. He was backstage talking about how he is the number one contender, but he's been completely overlooked.
Which is
Um,
true.
yeah,
Totally
and he said that he'll
valid.
face the winner at All Out, which, like, yeah, I'm not saying like shoehorn hacking or anything, but it's just a bit of a shame because obviously like he is from Newcastle, like, he is British, so it's a bit of a shame that he's going to be like on the American show.
Yeah, it
I
is
feel
a shame.
like.
I don't understand what's hap well, I guess, that MJF and Osprey storyline has come about and you have to capitalize on that. Even if he is the number one contender, but it's a shame he couldn't have another a match at Wembley. I mean, I assume we're not going to see him at Wembley now. That's a real shame.
Yeah, because it wouldn't make sense for him to like be in anything else. But yeah, like obviously that's the hotter feud, and that's where you want to go with it. But yeah, it's just a bit awkward. But I mean, I don't know because I'm like glad Pac had a presence, and I'm glad that like at least like he has some relevancy still, and they're not forgetting that. And whoever he goes
Yeah.
against at All Out, it'll bang. But it's just a bit awkward 'cause I think when like it's a British wrestler and they're not gonna probably wrestle on the biggest like British wrestling show this year. It's
Yeah,
just a bit
it's
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 just a bit
it's
shit.
yeah, it is. It's sad for him, but I do wonder like the circumstances whether there's something I don't know that's happened that means he's not doing it. But um this outcome is like, if we can't have him at Wembley, this is a decent outcome. I'm happy with it that he gets his match at All Out and he's still relevant.
Yeah. So then next up, this was like a run of promos, which it kind of seemed, I know that you picked up on that a couple of weeks ago, like a promo after promo after promo. And then since she said that, like I always notice it now. And it seems to be like the Dynamite format is it starts off with like an absolute banger heated match. And then in the mid bit we get like these promos and then we weave through the main event throughout the show and then we conclude um with like any wrestling show, really, the main event, and then a big angle to close the show. But but yeah, this just seems to be a thing now where we just cram them all together.
Mm.
I don't know whether I hate it or whether I like it. I don't know. I haven't quite decided.
Yeah, same. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know. I feel like it would be a bit nicer if it was a bit more balanced, just a bit more, laid out in a more even way. But I don't like absolutely hate it. It just, I think because there's so much of it, it gets to the point where you're like, oh, I'm a bit bored now. But I do wonder if there's a reason for it. Like, I guess in a way, it sort of works as like an interval for the live
Yeah,
audience. Like, they go get their fucking popcorn and take a piss or whatever. Maybe.
yeah, for sure. Maybe like some kind of production. Uh, maybe it makes production easier. I don't know, but yeah, for me, it's not that it's boring. It's just like a lot to take in. It's like one
Yeah.
person's saying this and another person this and another person, and what they're saying usually has like quite it usually has quite a bit of consequence. But then like you can't really soak it in because then the next person. I don't know whether I love that because I'm like, oh my God, the chaos. Oh my God, like now this person's here and this person's here. However, I'm like, oh my God, like I need to breathe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. So next up we had the Derby promo, and he just was cutting over the videos of the footage of him attacking Jack Perry at Blood and Guts, and yeah, he was just kind of voicing over that he hates Jack Perry and that now
Hmm.
we can all see who he really is and Jungle Boy, what the hell is that all about? And
Yeah.
um
It's like,
picking
yeah,
up on picking
Tarzan
up on
as
the
shit.
fact Tarzan our shit, picking up on the fact that he really wasn't like he did a small name for himself on the indies, but he hadn't really like worked. I don't know. He didn't really like have that much of a name for himself. It was more so like the potential and perhaps like being a bit of a nepo baby and then like catching the eyes of the books. Um, which is totally relevant and how he doesn't really know that much about a sacrifice. So he came down. Obviously, this triggered Jack Perry. So he instantly attacked him and then dragged him to the back. He crushed Darby with the shutter doors, sort of trapped him. And then he tried to like use a prop box or like a reduction box to crush Darby. He was stopped once, then went again to do it, was stopped again. And then he said that he wants a coffin match at Wembley, which I'm so hyped for. Like, I think this type of match definitely, like, we were both expecting that it was going to have some kind of stipulation, some kind of violent stipulation.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the coffin match last year with Sting and Darby against
Yeah.
Swerve. Was it Christian Cage, I believe?
Um, I can't
Or
remember because I was going to say I swear we saw a coffee match last year.
yeah, yeah, it was that one. And it was really enjoyable. I love a good coffin match, and God, I just hope Jack Perry wins though, because I just think that's just I'm not even because of my own personal bias towards certain people and against certain people, but I just think that'll like weaken him so much if he loses.
Yeah,
But
you're right. Definitely. That's fair. Yeah, I think he probably will win.
um yeah. So then we got a Mariah promo, and she was saying that she copies Tony's successes, not a mistake. She had some great little one-liners, and it was
Yeah.
just a venomous, bitchy, um, your one mistake is that you were born at the same time as me. Yeah, no, it was just the typical shtick, but it was well delivered. Uh, Mariah's very convincing. She has great conviction when she delivers her lines.
That's so
And
true.
yeah, again, like we don't need like another Mariah Tony Storm pull apart brawl. We've seen it twice. We don't need that. It's fine to just let it breathe and have a week off where we just kind of do something like that, and then next week we have a big angle to sort of, yeah. I'll have more of a problem if next week the big matches don't have any kind of go home angle. But I feel like this episode was kind of trying to uh build the matches that they still haven't booked. So like the tag
True.
titles, for instance, it was kind of
Hmm.
trying to give room to them, which I mean, in my opinion, too little, too late. I'm not saying don't put the tag titles on, but it just says it all if that's how you're going to treat him. But we'll get to that. But yeah, I'm totally fine with him just letting these big angles breathe for this week.
Yeah, I agree. And this I agree with what you said about the Mariah May promo as well. It was really good. Really nice video package. Her character work is just amazing. Yeah, very entertaining.
Yeah, and then we got Amina Shirakawa interview. This was with Renee. Renee was on duty tonight. She was
Yeah.
constantly, I feel like, being called to for all sorts of interviews, but it was pretty simple, just saying she hasn't spoken to either of them and she is shocked, which, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I quite liked
It
it.
didn't really do much, but it
It
was
didn't.
nice to see her, and it was nice to sort of, you know, it would have been nice, I think, if at the end she'd actually said, like, not just been so like balanced, if she'd been like, oh, well, I love them both, but I think like Tony Storm's gonna win, or Mariah's gonna win.
Yeah,
And it was just like a bit like passive. I think that would have
it
sort of
was.
just helped it a bit more, push it forward a bit more. But it's still
Yeah.
nice to see her.
Yeah, it didn't really add anything to do. It was not, yeah, it was just not really nice to see her on screen, but yeah, it would have been more effective if she'd said something like, I think Mariah's a bitch or something, I don't know. Just a little something to spice it up.
So after that, so after that, we returned back to the in-ring action, and we had the triple threat with Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, um, for the number one entrant for the Casino Battle Royale, because it
A gauntlet.
Gauntlet, yeah,
Because
not
I
Battle
remember,
Royale,
because this was the
Gauntlet.
thing I was trying to figure out because I thought it was Battle Royale for so long. Like when they first announced it, I just assumed that's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah, we
Obviously,
both
wasn't
did, yeah.
listening. And then they were like, "Oh, it's for number one entrant." I was like, "Why would you want to be number one? Surely that's like the least advantageous spot." Then I was trying to listen to them explaining that on commentary, and the way they explained it was, it's a gauntlet match. It can end at any point, so you want to be the first one so that you can end it quick, or otherwise you might not even get in the match before it ends. So I was like, "Oh." okay, that makes more sense, and that's more fun than a battle royal, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely more fun than a battle royale where you just have a load of
Bodies
battle
on the line.
royale. If we like to say battle royale fodder, and then
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so they were battling for that. One would assume though that they're all going to be in it irregardless. Um, but yeah, I mean, wow, what history, between these three. I mean, with Kyle and Roddy going way back to NXT, uh, Roddy versus Orange Cassidy for the international title, Kyle and Orange pairing up with Team AEW, um, the sort of little faction that they kind of had going for a while. So yeah, I really I love that in AEW because it's like you see it quite a lot where like there'll be a match and they won't play up to those things because it's not what the match is about, but it's just nice that like all the characters have like lore and
Hmm.
they have a lot of history between each other and it's just pretty. It just makes it like even more exciting, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it doesn't. I quite like it how it doesn't justify the match taking place. Like it's not the reason this match has been made. So if you don't know about it, it doesn't matter. It's not confusing in that way. But a lot of people will know about it, especially if wrestling fans typically will probably understand that, and that's just like a nice touch. And obviously, like commentary sort of played on it a little bit, but what I mean is, it's just not the drive. It's not the driver for the match.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought this was great. It never felt awkward with triple threats or even four ways. Sometimes there's just one person just
Hmm.
lying out waiting for
Having a
their
nap.
turn. But yeah, or like it'll be like 2-on-1 or like just someone just waiting in the corner to like get
Yeah.
their shit in. But it never felt like that. It
No, it
just
didn't.
flowed really nicely. They all worked really well together, whether that's just because like they're comfortable with working together, work together so often now. Perhaps that's the reason. But and also it wasn't that predictable, I don't think, as to who was gonna win. So
No, it wasn't, especially with the way it ended. With
yeah.
I know, sorry, I'm skipping ahead a bit, but with the roll ups, it was like a series of roll ups, and then Orange Cassidy eventually got the pin. I can't remember who it was on. I didn't make a note of that. But yeah, it was kind of it. I wouldn't say it was like out of nowhere because the match had gone on for long enough where you're sort of suspecting that it was going to be like the finish was going to be soon, but it was like unpredictable and surprising enough that you were sort of caught off guard.
Yeah, Taven and Bennett came out to level the odds for Roderick Strong, but then they were met by Briscoe and Ishii, assumedly representing both Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy because
The
obviously they have an affiliation with each other,
conglomeration is a thing.
conglomeration.
That's a thing.
And yeah, I absolutely loved the chair that was brought out by Bennett and Taven that was then used for an elevated cannonball from Matt Briscoe. Matt Briscoe's just fucking amazing, and yeah, it just yeah it added to that chaotic ending because Orange Cassidy actually just stole the win from Kyle, and that was really Kyle. And then Kyle's selling of that afterwards, it was really nice, and you wonder whether that is going to bring some tension towards that faction going forward. I do think like Orange Cassidy's who you want, especially like for number one entrant, because it's not just like you want that number one entrant, like when their entrance music hits, like it sets the tone for the match. So you want it to be someone quite
Yeah.
exciting, and I think he would be the most exciting of those three
Yeah,
to
for sure.
start the match for sure. But yeah, it was a great little match, and it had a great amount of time. Like all of them, nothing really felt um in terms of like wrestling wise rushed, I don't think,
Yeah, no, it's
in any
exactly.
of the matches.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I'm really excited to see, and I'm really excited to see when Hangman comes out and who Hangman is going to be opposed.
Have they said how many people are going to be in this match? Like, are supposed
No,
to be in it? See, that's
No.
interesting. That's interesting because there's a lot of people who have not yet been announced for the card who you think are probably going to be put in this, whether you think it's a bad thing or not. Like, most likely, I think Claudio's probably going to be in it. Yuta probably. Obviously, the three men who were in this match, Hangman, yeah, Okada, not got a
Sammy
match yet.
Guevara.
Yeah.
No, I don't know whether they'll set something up next week with Claudio. Not saying that they're gonna have a rematch or anything, but I mean it's so hard. Like you're gonna
No,
utilize him in that. Like, oh my
it's
God.
it's crazy to think.
Yeah, I'd like to think that something's gonna come about from next week. Maybe Moxley just returns. I don't know.
Oh, oh yes, yes. Don't tempt me with that because now I
Or he could be in the gauntlet
get my
and he
hopes
faces off
up.
with Hangman.
Let's not do this.
Um,
Let's not get my hopes up. Let's expect the worst.
yeah. Be realistic, he's probably going to be the one facing off against Hangman.
Mm,
Because obviously they had the tension at Blood and Guts. But I mean in my world, Moxley returns and yeah, we have that instead. But yeah, so I mean, with that, we'll see what it brings, won't we? Next up, we got the face to face, which was a bit of a disappointment, I thought, because I didn't. From when I see face to face, I don't think backstage interview. I think two men coming down to the ring, mics in hands, stare down, vicious promo, heated. That to me is a face off. That I felt like a bit. I felt a bit conned. I don't know if you got the same impression as me.
yeah, well, I think they made it deliberately very vague what it was, a face-off. Like they didn't. It was just, oh, it's a face-off. Like, what does that even mean? To be honest, like just knowing the way that Claudio works, I wasn't actually really expecting something in the. I don't know. If I was expecting something in the ring, I was expecting it to be like mediated by Tony Schiavone or something like,
Yeah,
um, which would have been really nice. But you know, as much as I love him, he's his promos and he's good at cutting promos, but like it's not his strongest point. So, his wrestling is his strongest point. I thought his promo was great tonight, to be honest. But yeah, it was a little bit sort of disappointing. Like they built up all that hype and they had like a what was it, like a 3-minute convo backstage with Renee.
yeah, it was
So
just like a conversation. It
mm,
wasn't very heated.
yeah.
And yeah, like I suppose neither of them are like amazing promos. Like obviously Carter's got the language barrier, so um, maybe if it was like a Carter and someone really strong, or like Claudio and someone really strong, maybe then like maybe it was to protect them. I don't know, but yeah, Claudio basically talked about his excitement for the opportunity, and then Okada had some fighting words for him, but he wasn't really taking him seriously. And then he kind of walked off, and then Claudio kind of wrapped it up by being like, I don't want to face that. I want to face like the Rainmaker. I want to face like, um, you know, the guy who was the face of New Japan for so many years. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's like a bit because then the heated part of the promo, like Okada had kind of what, and I get like the point of it is like
Yeah.
Okada's like cocky and he's too he, he and obviously that delivery bitch, brilliant, amazing, love it every time, 10 out of 10. Would will laugh every time watching it. But like it just I don't know, like it just felt like a bit anticlimactic to what I was wanting.
Yeah, I found again, I agree with what you said, like, yeah, he's dismissing him, that's why he's walking off. But yeah, like Claudio's big heated moment at the end, he didn't even say it to Okada's face when he was just there 5 seconds ago, he was saying it to the camera. So
Mm.
yeah, and it's like they're building up, trying to build up like anticipation for a match that's on Dynamite next week, and we don't know if it's gonna have any implications for All In, so it's kind of like yeah, I'm excited. I'm sure it's gonna be a banger, but at the same time, why should we care about it? What does it mean? Like, what are the ramifications?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's a bit weird to do it so close. Um, but obviously, like you just forgot about like the Continental title. Like it's not really defended much. It's not. It wasn't really a necessary belt, was it? To be honest with you, they could have just done I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I don't know because it's very weird to have any match on a go home show that isn't going to have a consequence for the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it is a
Yeah.
case of they fight and Okada wins and it's a brilliant match, but then that's it, and then Okada goes on to do like the Casino Gauntlet, that's really weird.
Surely that belt's got to be defended. Like, surely. I think the reason they put this match on is to try and sell more tickets for Dynamite in Cardiff, because I know that the ticket prices, sorry, dropped significantly recently. Um, some, maybe it's just part of that, try to get a good draw. But
Yeah.
yes, it is certainly weird.
Yeah, so we'll see what that brings. They then showed the Collision Trios match. There's lots of references to Collision last week. Good
Yes.
job we watched it. Um, and it, yeah, just the patriarchy. Talking backstage after Christian Cage screwed the match over. And yeah, he just said, as I've mentioned before, they're going to hold um a match. Sorry, no, he's going to hold every title at the same time. And then yeah, that was kind of it really, just that
Yeah.
they're the shit. So next up, fuck me, we got Hook coming out, interviewed by Shivani. He has his whole, well, not even his eye, like whole head bloody bandaged up,
Mhm.
and he just essentially said he wants his title back. Jericho comes out, and of course does the old heel bit of "I'll fight you, but not tonight." And next week we've got Big Bill taking on Hook and Jericho and Hook at Wembley.
It's
That's that.
confirmed.
0 hour, please. For the love of God.
Oh, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. I can just feel
You
it.
don't think?
Chris Jericho on 0 Hour.
But
I don't think
Willow
so.
Nightingale and Chris Statlander are.
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Oh my
Was
God.
that on Collision when we watched it? It was on
Yeah,
it. God,
yeah.
I've buried that deep down.
I kind of
Deep,
hoped it was
deep
like a bad
down.
dream that I had after I went to sleep afterwards. Yeah, if you don't know, Stokely and Ishii are now involved in this match. It's going to be a tag team match, a mixed tag team match.
In 0 hour.
Yeah, like confirmed.
Like this big feud that they've worked so hard on is now
This is the
like being
payoff.
intercepted by irrelevant men. This is the
Mm,
payoff at their biggest show of the year.
yeah, I'm pissed. I'm pissed off. I don't even want to get into it because,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not happy. Not
We don't
happy.
see the funny side of it.
No, like I can't. I know. I'm trying. I can't even see the funny side of it. I'm actually just pissed off. But anyway, Dynamite.
Dynamite. So next up, the acclaimed, our faves, taking on the Young Bucks. And I just wanted to bring up something, the utilization of the Young Bucks. It was recently came out that they're on a day by day kind of contract, really. They're paid by appearance. It's not,
Shit.
yeah, they've kind of got like a semi like Legends or like what Lesnar had, a Lesnar contract. So there's been like a lot of criticism towards the Bucks and their booking, and I just fucking make the jokes where they always fuck off to Hawaii, and they kind of seem like a bit checked out, but it turns out they're not in charge of their own booking. Tony Khan is. So I just think that's a really really interesting, especially like with the presentation. And I wonder if they're happy with the presentation of themselves. Obviously, must be making a lot more money, even more money than they were before. You would think after re-signing, but yeah, I find that very very interesting. And yeah, like obviously, I don't think the booking of them has been very strong um since like last year's All In. That was probably the peak. And yeah, I mean, I know like the books are cold for like a lot of people, and the presentation and the sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. They
Yeah.
hold all the power, but only sometimes, only when they can be
Mm.
asked. Like they'll intercept with the show,
Yeah.
but it's very hot and cold, and obviously it makes sense when you realize that they're paid by appearance, but that isn't. It seems to be their entire responsibility. I'm sure they have like a big say on it because they are like EVPs and like close friends of Tony Khan. And if they absolutely hated the way they were being presented, I'm sure like that's not what's going on, but it's yeah, it's just a choice in it.
That information is very enlightening um to the situation. Yeah, it's weird because I remember like not that long ago we were enjoying the way they were sort of going with it and they were being these really despicable heels and the way they were going with that, it's gone really cold lately. And now it's sort of like why, why do I even care really? Yeah, it's difficult to get into when it's so on and off.
Especially with them being the ones that are holding the tag belts and then it
Yeah,
being such an afterthought. It's not great because like by association it's made the belts go cold and
yeah,
AEW the one thing that AEW always had over WWE at the start was the tag division.
yeah,
It's why people like FTR wanted to move to AEW to wrestle there. It's like AEW for a very long time took it very seriously. I think like the creation of the trios belt probably wasn't like the best idea because it kind of diluted your tag teams down because then you had
yeah,
some that became trios, like obviously the Lucha Bros then became Death Triangle, so then they're not necessarily like you don't really see them like just as the Lucha Bros as much anymore. So and it just like lowers the gravitas, I guess, of the belts. But yeah, I mean, I think especially like how hot that match was last year, FTR versus the Bucks, compared to now.
yeah,
I think I don't know what you do about it though now, like whether you can get rid of the belts because if you do, then that's going to leave some people out of pocket. Like if you got rid of the tag belts in favor of the trios, what do you do with like FGR as an act, for example? But then I don't know, like if you keep the tag and get rid of like the trios, like what do you do for like the House of Black, for example? So it's just like a real corner. And again, like in the big issue of AEW is Tony Khan just creating too many belts and like it's just not sustainable. And this is like the out part, like partly responsible for like the outcome of
yeah,
these type of
yeah,
situations.
yeah. It's really shit. Like those tag belts, they used to mean a lot. And like you said, the tag division was super hot. And it still is, but like you've still
Is
got
it?
amazing. You've got really good
Is
tag team
it?
matches. Um, I think this week's match was pretty good. Like it's as in the sense that it's like stacked. But you made a really great point when you mentioned the trios belt. So then it's just like it's sort of split into two. And it makes it really difficult for anyone to sort of get any traction when the tag team champions aren't doing anything.
Yeah, this to me, this match, like it was fine, but to me it was like I've seen this match a million times. It was
Yeah,
great,
that's
like in ring
fair.
work, but I've just seen it so many times, and it's not inspired. It's not interesting. It's not
Yeah.
nothing new happens like character wise or like wrestling wise. Like there's always going to be like innovative. I can't say the word.
Mm.
Uh, but spots. But I don't know. It just did nothing for me. Like the books are cold, but like they claim to me are just ice fucking cold. Like I just oh I don't know, but yeah, the books made their entrance and they were attacked by the Acclaimed before the pyro went off. Um, then the books kind of turned it around. They sort of had the lead for a while. Daddy Ass came out. He was later rejected by being baited by Nick. Um, and then like I said, it just continued, and it was a good match. Like it was if like I hadn't seen it, like if I haven't been so overtly exposed, not even necessarily to like the books because like I don't feel like I have been, but like I've been exposed to like a lukewarm version of the books where nothing really has stakes. But I
Mm.
feel like for me, like the overexposure of like the acclaimed, like that to me is like where I'm like really tired.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so Caster accidentally took out the ref, um, and then he was greeted with a low blow in return by Matt, who then went to use the belt. But Dax Harwood interferes, and he beats down Matt to the point where the match has to get called off. Uh, yeah, it all just kind of breaks down. Young Bucks win by disqualification. And this was just a real like the match itself, like it was good. It was watchable, but like I said, it was just boring. But then this just made it shite to me.
Yeah.
This was just like,
This,
oh my
yeah.
God. Like FTR doing this. All of a sudden FTR suddenly remember how much they hate the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, just like the week before All In, it was just so uninspired. It was so lazy. It was so, like I said, this whole show, like trying to pick the slack up on these people that we've forgotten about. And maybe that's because we didn't mean to feature, and maybe that's because we had in mind that they weren't going to be on the card, because maybe we had other people, i.e., Kenny Omega versus Okada and Copeland and Jay White, but probably not. People like that, right? But even so, like, surely you knew you had to defend the tag fucking belts. Like, that is like
Yeah.
a core part of like your roster's identity, I feel like. To me,
Yeah.
like, it's even more important than in terms of just the belt. I'm not talking about the people wrestling for it, but the belt prestige. It's more important
Yeah.
than the international title. It's more important than the continental. It's like
Yeah.
up there. It's like the women. It's like on par for me with like the women's belt, the tag belt, and the world heavyweight title. Obviously, world heavyweight title is always going to come out on top, even though women's and world heavyweight should be equal. But like it because it represents it's
Yeah.
three separate fucking divisions, and it's the
Exactly.
top of those divisions. So how
Yeah.
can you forget it? I really don't understand. And yeah, just to wrap this bit up, Christopher Daniels said that it wasn't a definitive victory, that the acclaimed and the Bucks have still got unfinished business. But to wrap this up, like I said, on Saturday we've got the acclaimed versus FTR for a shot at the tag belts at Wembley. So yeah, like what's your take on that, and what's your prediction for what we're going to see on Saturday?
Um, I don't know. I hated this finish too. It was so disappointing. It's just like fucking typical. The referee gets up just when Dax was beating down on whoever he was beating. Was it Matt?
Yeah, Matt.
Typical. That's just typical. And then that's the end of the match. That like yes, it was a fine match, but it took any wind out of the sails that it could, like any sort of breeze, light breeze it had. It was just taken out of it by that. So yeah, we don't get that definitive answer that we were looking for. Um, I don't know what we're gonna see on Saturday. I don't know. I feel like another fucked up finish, so we get a three-way probably. If not, I mean we had that match last year. I'm thinking maybe the acclaimed just for something different.
Yeah, I mean, I was just hoping that they'd wrap like the acclaimed Bucks thing up fast, and even if that meant the acclaim getting the belts
Mm,
to go on against FTR, like at least it's something like a little bit more refreshing. But yeah, I think it probably is going to be like a triple threat, and it's like, yeah, love all three tag teams in terms of like wrestling ability. No one's doubting that, but it's just it's just like why should I care?
hmm Yeah,
A lot of
that's
these
my attitude too.
a lot of these matches that are building up, like the international title, the story is so well thought out that even, we've got like Daniel Garcia still simmering in the background, and we've got like Don Callis simmering in the background, and we've got Pac, which is going to happen at All Out. And it's not just necessarily that we're leading towards All In and that's it, and it's going to be a clean wrap. I know there's going to be more to come, but like with the tag division, it's so shit that like I don't even know what's even going to happen at Wembley. never fucking mind what's going to happen at All Out. Never fucking mind what's going to happen a couple of months down the line. Whereas, like, with all these other ones, like, it's exciting to talk about, and I can tell that, like, there's other things being thought about. But with this, it's so obvious. It's just so last minute.
Mm.
And I don't know whether, like, what he needs is just, like, some new talent in the tag division to sort of like rejuvenate it, whether that'll like make the booking a little bit better. I don't think
Mm.
necessarily you need to have new talent to rejuvenate. I think you can make use of what they have, but knowing Tony Khan and the way his mind works, I don't think we're really going to see much until we see like some new talent signed. But then I don't know necessarily who that would be.
I don't think Tony Khan knows what's gonna happen at All Out, to be honest. Like probably All In, you would hope there's a plan for that. But I don't think he even knows what's gonna happen at All Out.
I think he does for some. I think he does for
For
some,
the tag
definitely.
division, I mean, like
But for the
as in for
tag
the
division,
belts.
no.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost like now that the women's division's picked up momentum, it's like the tag division's fallen. I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know, like
Yeah, like
which
the
is
focus is
the
just
way, like,
elsewhere. Maybe you just need
yeah,
someone, just someone else
more
to take the
writers. Yep,
reins.
yep, yep, yep. For sure. So yeah. Next up, we got Swerve versus Danielson. Oh my God. How adorable was this? It was like a recap of Danielson's whole career to fucking Green Day, Good Riddance. Like, it was so cute. Like, I think the cutest thing I've ever seen in wrestling. It was adorable.
It was really emotional, wasn't it? And it was like, oh my God, I hope they don't play that at Wembley because I'll be crying. And this made me think he is 100% gonna lose. Like just this video package like
You're
solidified
coming on
that
the
for
Swerve
me.
hype train.
Well, I was just like, you don't make a video package like this unless you fucking career's reached its sunset. You're riding off into the sunset, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that just solidified it to me that Swerve is
Yeah,
winning, but I'm not. It's not. I'm not going to be okay if that happens. It was.
yeah,
Yeah. It was a great video package. It was very emotional. Got me all up
yeah,
in my
lovely.
feelings.
So then we would go to the main event, Yuta versus Swerve. Danielson was in the front row, which I really enjoyed because obviously normally like put him on commentary and stuff, but I think it really added to it because his whole purpose of being at the front is just to like cheer on Yuta and
Hmm.
to be up and close and watch what Swerve is doing to Yuta, knowing that that could potentially be him at Wembley. Um, I
Yeah.
thought it was a great decision to put him there.
Yeah. He's like analyzing what's going on. He wants to support his teammate, his son.
His
Um.
son.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was pretty one-sided though. Swerve was ragdolling you around at the start. He confronted Danielson saying he's going to retire him, which had extra impact after we've just watched this super like emotional like
Yeah.
video package for his whole career, and then this man's just like, I'm going to retire you. Yeah. There was lots of great offense. I mean, Yuta is great. He's a great wrestler. You know, I've never watched a Yuta match and been like that was boring or whatever. I feel like every time I see something a little bit different. The little inverted stretch submission was nice, and then I really enjoyed the like reverse Rana that Yuta did to Swerve, where he sort of went through the ropes,
Mm,
and
it's
I
nice.
loved like the no selling and the smiling that like Swerve was kind of grinning as like Yuta's kind of like unloading his offense, and Swerve's just kind of like slowly approaching him like a final boss in a video game or like a, the villain when you think like the villain's dead but it comes back like it's just
Yeah.
great for sure. And my God, that uppercut headbutt that had me like sucking the air from my teeth a little bit. That
Yeah.
was nasty.
Yeah, these two. I mean, obviously, we all know that they're both great wrestlers, and it was a really good match, like really brutal, like you say. They left it all out there. Great main event.
Yeah, then we got the two house calls, and then Swerve just kind of positions himself above Ewan and begins to like clobber down on him. and commentary note that he's knocked out, and then that's why like they've called the match off because he's like defenseless, which like fair enough. Like, I'm not mad at that finish. Danielson then runs in. Swerve leaves the ring, but just as he leaves, says he has a message. He said that he's shown that he is the most dangerous man in professional wrestling, and he says that Danielson's family, especially his daughter, will be where he was tonight at Wembley, and they'll watch as he cripples and retires him and mutilates him, and then the show finishes when, like, just as you think, okay, that's it, Swerve, what Spiky comes in and he delivers a house call to Danielson. I did think like this last little 5 minutes was quite rushed. It felt like oh, they're running out of TV time. I don't know, like it didn't. I can't really like explain it, but yeah, it was a great match and a great end, and just shows how like Swerve just has no respect for like honoring the legacy of Danielson. He doesn't give a shit about like the promises that he's made to like his family. Like
Yeah.
he just doesn't, the brutality. And Hangman and Swerve are like two sides of the same coin, really, because their brutality and their aggression, once they're laser focused on something, Hangman on Swerve and Swerve on the title and being the best, they really are similar. And like I said, I'm really glad that we're getting that in Swerve's Swerve's title reign, that this side of Swerve, because this is when he's at his best.
Yeah. I liked as well our commentary were talking about how he broke into Hangman's home and he was in his child's bedroom and stuff, and like, yeah, like basically being like, yeah, I'd be fucking pissed if that happened to me. So it's like, even though Swerve is a face, it's like we've not forgot about all that, and we know. Well, actually, no, he's not really the face in this situation, I suppose. But he'd done that, then went to being liked, despite all of that. When he won the championship, so it's like, yeah, we've not forgot about that. And he's brutal. Did you see Bryan Danielson's promo after this?
No, I did not. I only just finished just as we started recording. Please tell me about that.
Yeah, it was posted on social media. So it was this video of a camera was following Danielson and Yuta, and someone else was helping Yuta, like, get to the back because he was really hurt. And then Danielson basically turned to the camera and cut this really emotional promo, being like, it's not enough for you to say, you want to end my career, blah blah blah. It's not enough for you to hurt my son. Like, he literally said, this man's like a son to me. You've hurt Wheeler. Um, but now you want to mention my family, want to mention my daughter. Um, he was like, you're not gonna get the underdog, you're not gonna get me coming off the back foot. I'm gonna kick your fucking head in. And it was really impassioned, really brutal, and it was great. It was really, really good promo, so I definitely recommend checking that out. I think it's just on AEW's like social media. But
Yeah.
really good, and seemed like off the cuff. Yeah, definitely. Oh, I mean, there's not enough words to talk about how like emotional and how high stakes this is and how well done it is.
Yeah, for sure. And like the more time's going on, the more I think it's evident why this was the right move to put
Yeah, I
Danielson
agree.
with Swerve for like presumably maybe his last match for a while, because obviously he's going in for neck surgery towards the end of this year. So whether he wins the title or not, it's not like he's gonna have much left in the tank um for a while, and I'm sure like he'll enjoy like his time off and then presumably be called out of like his retirement and wrestle like part-time later down the road. But yeah, I think it's really proved that it deserves to be the main event, and I have no qualms about it now. No, I'm not like, oh, I wish it was like someone else. Like, I'm genuinely really excited to see it, and even though I am like, I think Swerve is going to win, there is still like that chance it could be like a feel good moment, and they give like Danielson his flowers. Um, yeah, it's great. So yeah,
Definitely.
that'll do it for Dynamite.
Yeah. I just want to add one last thing. Swerve said,
Yeah.
like you already said, that Danielson's bringing his family front row. Brie Bella, come on. I want to see her
Well,
in the flesh.
you'd have to think, wouldn't you, that it would be that Brie Bella would be there.
I
That'd be really nice. Yeah.
I want to see that cameo. I, Total Divas, Total Bellas, run it back. Run that shit back.
Run that shit back. Yeah, so super exciting times. I think though, like as I've talked through the show, I think originally I thought I was like 8.5, but now I think I'm more like a 7.5 because the tag thing has pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
Like it
You
genuinely
know,
has.
I agree with you. I agree with you, to be honest. 7.5 completely makes sense to me. It was like we said there was a lot of great wrestling and there was a lot of good stories developing. But yeah, that's the tag match and the ending of that definitely dragged it down. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a perfect Dynamite. Better than last week, but not better than some of the ones before that we had 9.5. We had some really high ranking ones. They weren't that good.
I think next week will be good because like those big stars are going to come back, like Tony Storm, Ryan May, JF, Osprey. We've got the Okada versus Claudio match. It's going to be in the UK, so it'll be an awesome crowd. Even though this crowd, no shade towards this crowd, but no one does it like the UK.
True.
So yeah, and then oh my fucking God, next weekend we are going to be at Wembley Stadium watching these very matches that we are talking about. And next week's episode, we will be doing our predictions as well. So, oh my God, it's surreal.
Yeah, next week we don't know like if Dynamite's going to be like aired live because it's being filmed in the UK. If it is, then obviously that's great for us. UK time, we'll record it straight away, get it up on Wednesday, hopefully. But if not, it'll be up on Thursday, like usual, like late Thursday night if you're in the UK. So yeah, very excited to find out where they go with Cardiff Dynamite, and then fuck me, I can't. It's still not sunk in. It's still not sunk in. So just to finish up, there was just really one major piece of news that only just kind of broke a couple of hours ago. It's been announced that All In 2025 will take place not in London, but in Arlington, Texas. So I wasn't expecting this. I feel pretty disappointed, to be honest. I feel kind of
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
abandoned.
Yeah. Like he's just found a new side chick and is like, see ya. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not sure if anyone really knows the details, but it's been officially announced like a press release. Um, but it has been announced that they'll be back in London in 2026. So it's unclear whether we will get anything like this year and last year in 2025 or not.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about it a little bit us between ourselves, and we believe that it's because WWE are having a presence at Wembley, whether that be WrestleMania, which I'm not too sure, whether like SummerSlam or some other like big pay-per-view they're
Mm,
going to have there. And obviously they're not, you know what I mean? Like they probably have like some kind of, I'd assume like some kind of like exclusive contract, whoever,
yeah,
because you know they're not going to show that much
could be,
fucking
yeah.
wrestling at Wembley Stadium,
True, yeah.
uh, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I to me, like I think it would have been something like that because Tony Khan is very neurotic and like he likes to have bloody everything in the same place. We like to have Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. We like to have
Yeah.
All Out in Chicago. We love a tradition.
Mm,
So to me, like I think it's some like his hand's been kind of forced um
mm.
in that
Doesn't seem like something
aspect.
he'd do by choice,
No,
really.
and but like I just said to Lucy before as well, like I hope that we're still gonna get something. I imagine we will, like, but obviously it will not be to the same scale as All In. I'm sure we'll get some kind of pay-per-view, or at the very least, like a tour with Dynamite and Collision. They're obviously testing the waters
Yeah, that's yeah,
with going to Cardiff,
that's
but
what I was
it's like
thinking.
it's not the same as
Not the
Wembley
same.
All In. Like you can't do like a bigger venue than that in the UK. Like you can't put on a show quite like that. So it's quite gutting.
It
I'm not gonna
is.
lie, and like we just kind of like maybe it's our fault because like we just like assumed. And we just like, I don't know, we were just like, oh, like it's always going to be there. And like next year, but when we go next year, like we're always talking like that. So it's a bit, I'm sure we'll go to like what other events they've got on. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's just sad that
yeah,
you don't have that big thing. We think I kind of felt like it was, oh, it's a special thing for us, and obviously not. That's very disappointing to have that realization. I mean, maybe he's going to do another stadium. Like you said, there's none as big as Wembley, but you could do, I
or
don't know,
two.
Principality Stadium
Oh,
maybe in Cardiff. Any of the bloody
yeah,
many football stadiums in the UK if you wanted to do another stadium thing, or is he just going to do, arenas? So yeah, like you said, we'll go probably, hopefully, see what happens next year with what they're doing. But I'd love to go to Dynamite. But
yeah.
it's just not the same, is it?
I mean, as well, like we deserve it more. Like, no offense, but like Arlington, Texas. I'm sorry, I just don't think they bang like they pop as much as like the UK crowd. No one does it like the UK crowd.
Yeah.
So
I don't get it. I don't get why there of all places. If there's something I'm missing about how the significance of it or something, I don't know. But yeah, it just feels like, they get Dynamite. You get it going around the US all the time.
yeah.
So
And like it's so sad when like we left the arena last year and it was like, see you next year. There'll be
yes,
no
so
see you next year graphic. See you in two
yeah,
years.
that's gonna. I bet he's gutted that he can't do something like that unless it's, they're gonna catch us off guard with something different. But then
Yes, maybe like see you at like this event, but I don't think they would though because I don't think like it's going to be at Wembley if they do another event. Like I could
yeah, and
see
then
maybe they host like one of the big like full gear, I don't fucking know, something like that at like
mm,
the O2 uh in
yeah, and
London. But
but then
it's not the same.
would they be even allowed to advertise something like that at Wembley?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if it's like a
Mm.
different venue. But last year was hilarious when he came out at the end, bloody I don't know. He was just on something, I feel like. I don't know what. Maybe he's just high on life, but he was mental when he came out and he cut that throw. He's like, I will see you next year. Like it was like calm down. Calm. I know it's
Oh,
Wembley. I know we've got 80,000 people here, but it's never that serious.
it would be well disappointing is if he does the same thing again, but he's like, and I'll see you in 2026, and we're all just like, how
Yeah.
disappointing. Something else. What I was just I was looking at like just out of interest at ticket sales for All In this year to when I found out about this, just wondering. I don't know, has it not sold very well? So the last update on WrestleTix on X, the most reliable source of this data, 45K distributed.
Is it still at
Um,
45K?
mhm.
I'm
And
quite surprised at that. I would have thought like it would have gone up a little bit. I think I'd thought like by the end of it would be hitting more like 60K.
yeah, I don't know how much it's going to change now.
Yeah, I don't think much by now, which like it's still a good number. Like it's still
It's
I think that's pretty
still,
similar to like the last pay-per-view that the one that WWE just did. I'm pretty sure that was like a similar number that they
mm,
drew.
yeah, that sounds about right. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, especially when you've got two big wrestling companies hitting the same market.
Yeah.
Even within like our friend group, like percentage, like people that we know who went last year and they're not big AEW fans, but they just went because like it's a big wrestling show compared to like this year. I feel like only like the people who really love AEW, and that's like l more than half of the people that we knew last year going.
It was very much a
That
novelty last year. It was like, holy
yeah.
shit, what the fuck? As if this is happening, so we've got to go. We've got to go. We can't miss it. And that obviously does wear off when you do it. You do it more than once.
Yeah, and also you've got like the big WWE shows, and it's kind of like if you're a WWE fan mainly and like a casual AEW watch, then of course you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna save my money for the next time that WWE come here. But yeah, I mean, for us, like we'll just soak it in even more and just appreciate and enjoy it for what it is, which obviously we did last year, but like yeah, we'll like extra, I feel like soak in the vibe because obviously, we probably will end up at an AEW show next year. I don't have any doubt in my mind about that, but like I say, we'll be really enjoying the Wembley vibe. So yeah, I think that's about it for this episode, to be fair.
Yeah, we've covered everything. Give Dynamite a 7.5 out of 10. So let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree and what you think about the All In card, how it's shaping up. And if anyone watching is going to Dynamite or All In, then please let us know. That would be fun to hear about everyone's plans and stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of people going to Dynamite. Like, obviously, I'm going All In, can't complain at all, but I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. Go home shows are always really fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just we'll see you next week and just let us know what you thought of the show and where you're at. I guess for me, like the main talking point is just the tag titles and the treatment of that, like what you would do, like how you would kind of remedy that at the moment, I guess. So yeah, that's it from us. Like, comment, subscribe, go to Spotify, leave a review.
All
Yeah,
them
see you next
engagement
week.
things.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, you rock, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb!